Episode 27 with Amanda Gilbert.
Where meditation meets daily life. This is the Meditation Freedom Podcast.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Meditation Freedom Podcast. My name is Sika Rote, and this podcast is all about meditation, mindfulness, why we practice it, why we continue to practice it, and how we bring that meditation and mindfulness into our daily lives. And our next guest, Amanda Gilbert, is an executive director for the Sugar, Stress, Environment, and Weight Center and a clinical research coordinator for the Aging, Metabolism, and Emotion Center at the University of California, San Francisco. And she's going to be talking a little bit about some of the studies related to mindfulness and meditation that both she has done with her team, as well as studies that peers of hers have done in related areas of mindfulness and meditation in her field. Her work focuses in particular on conducting and implementing clinical research in meditation, mindfulness, and mindfulness-based stress reduction, as well as examining how these restorative health behaviors affect our minds and biology. She's a long-term meditation practitioner herself and draws on her own personal meditation experience, and she also is a meditation teacher, helping people start a daily meditation practice through one-on-one individualized sessions where she connects contemplative science to daily practice. Amanda's mission is basically to support as many people as possible in experiencing optimum daily well-being through meditation and mindfulness. So let's get right into the interview with Amanda Gilbert. Well, thank you so much, Amanda, for joining me on this podcast.
I am so happy to be here, Siko. I wouldn't rather be anywhere else right now.
Oh, great. And so what I love to do is ask my guests at the beginning, just kind of to allow you to tell your story and the listener to get a sense of how you got where you are. And so how did you get to a meditation practice? What got your interest in meditation?
Oh, I love this question. And even in answering this question, I first like to really take a step back from just my perspective and my own story and why I'm currently practicing today, and take a look at why we all start practicing, really. Mm-hmm. And many of us actually approach a meditation practice or starting a meditation practice for health reasons or dealing with stress in our daily lives and our perceptions to stress. Perhaps we're even curious about meditation or mindfulness and just approaching it in a more curious way.
Sure.
And then also, the background from a religious affiliated reason. Perhaps you're interested in Buddhism or Christianity prayer practice or Hinduism. And also, a lot of us are looking to heal. So heal physically or mentally, spiritually, and really also taking a look at meaning, cultivating meaning in our daily lives.
Right.
So for me, what I can say is that for most of these reasons that a lot of us approach a meditation and mindfulness practice, too is why I approached a meditation and mindfulness practice. I wanted to heal physically, mentally, spiritually, even from challenges that I went through as a young adult. I really have always been interested in health practices. I've been in the health and wellness field for a really long time. And of course, just realizing that at some point in my life that, perhaps there's something more out there, or I want something more. I want to cultivate that deep, meaningful experience. I want to connect with myself. I want to connect with my intuition, my inner knowledge, my heart, my higher self. And how can I go about doing that? And really the avenue and the path for me has been through cultivating a meditation and mindfulness practice.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember like a particular instance or that triggered that, like, there's something I really need to do about, you're having some kind of breakdown, or how with a lot of people there's like a certain kind of moment where they just go, okay, I need to change something about my life?
Right, right. I do know those moments. We all have them, right? And those are really the beautiful opportunities where we are coming from perhaps a breakdown, like you were mentioning, and there's the opportunity to shift, then there's the opportunity to have a breakthrough and to really set ourselves on a different path.
Hmm.
And for me, it was actually more of a life path. I actually really gain a lot of information from really all the little synchronicities in life and all of the signs. I was exposed to many books on meditation and self growth and self development during a challenging time in my life. And really, all of the information that was coming before me was pointing me to meditation specifically. And I also was exposed to a few great teachers through actually the medical world. So I have a really strong interest in medicine and biology, and specifically one of my first teachers, Dr. Deepak Chopra, has a wonderful book, his first book out, Quantum Healing. And I was given that book during, again, a very pivotal, that kind of breakdown leading to breakthrough time in my life. And,
Hmm.
when those teachers, and even what I am attempting to do with my own practice and my own work today, when we approach it from just the biology, from our bodies, what type of changes we're really able to see tangibly in our days, then it really speaks to the effects and the power and the outcomes of a meditation practice. And so I started reading a lot of literature like that. What a meditation practice can actually do for us physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, even spiritually. And that was how I was led down the path to starting a practice.
And do you, what kind of practice did you start with?
I started with a mantra-based practice, and that was actually in 2009. And, at the same time, earlier than 2009, I was exposed to many different types of mindfulness and meditation practices, from simple breathing techniques, life-centering practices, walking meditation, even Qigong and Tai Chi. My undergraduate degree was actually in holistic health and wellness. So I was really exposed to a lot of different techniques when I was younger. Yet in 2009, when I actually learned a mantra-based practice, primordial sound meditation, that's when I really, really started to start a daily practice. And that's when it really clicked for me. And the mantra-based practices are, to me, a really, really powerful practice for a novice meditator, or for those who are first approaching and starting a meditation practice.
Hmm.
Reason being, the mantra actually is something for our minds and our thoughts to focus on. Mantra translates in Sanskrit to mind vehicle, right? So it allows our thoughts and allows our minds to actually focus on this repetition of a mantra, which is a word, really, and the words are actually meaningless in a sense. Some Buddhist mantra techniques are counting the breath,
Hmm.
saying the words in and out when you're breathing during meditation. And also you can repeat Sanskrit mantras as well, which also cultivate meaning during a practice. So really the mantra-based practices for me was really that door opening experience to having a really a substantial meditation practice. And then I really see in my work, currently in my research work, and also I teach people meditation as well. The mantra-based practices are really a way for beginners to really cultivate a strong practice.
And would you say that the mantra practice is an attention practice, just like paying attention to your breath type of practices?
Very much so. Really, what we're doing in meditation is we are focusing on an object of attention or an object of focus.
Hmm.
So that object of attention is the breath, or it is the mantra. It is whatever we are very gently and intentionally placing our focus and attention on. So there's this beautiful saying that the Buddha said that you can place your attention on your breath or on the mantra or on the object of focus just like you would gently on a flower,
Hmm.
right? So really in meditation, we are growing our muscles of focus and attention. We are cultivating that muscle memory of attention and focus. And we're doing that by having our attention on a single object.
Right. And what did you find? Because you mentioned the mantra was kind of the first transformative experience with you where you decided you wanted to do this on a regular basis. So what kind of benefit did you notice that really stood out for you initially when you started that practice?
Right. So the mantra-based meditation practice really allowed my mind to focus. So it really gave my mind and my thoughts something to chew on during my 30-minute morning meditation and my 30-minute evening meditation. So it really, in essence, allowed me to meditate, actually. And the meditation and really the health and the benefits and all of the outcomes, all of the fruits of meditation happen in those moments between thoughts, right? In that space and that stillness and that silence between the ego having its way and having its, ability to be behind the wheel and to really be running the show. So the benefits and outcomes of meditation are really in those moments between our thoughts. And so the mantra-based meditation practice and following the mantra and focusing on the mantra, for me, I had a tendency to have an overactive mind. I'll be the first to admit it. And that was one of my first own barriers and obstacles in a meditation practice was that, oh my God, I am sitting here and I am just thinking. I'm thinking about my day. I'm planning my day. I'm thinking about what I did yesterday.
Right.
I'm just really having a huge string of thoughts, going through my mind, even mind wandering as well.
Right.
And having the mantra to focus on, to have my mind focus on, was the key to allowing me the freedom to actually move beyond thought and to move into the space and stillness of meditation.
And a way to anchor you in the present.
Truly.
Because I've seen those studies that they talk about, a lot of us have mind wandering like 50% of the day, and that just takes you away from the present.
Yes, very much so. And one of the top outcomes that we're seeing through the lens of research is a decrease in rumination, is a decrease in mind wandering, and also an increase in focus and attention. And we're seeing that in a few different ways. We're seeing that through measuring participants' psychological experience, so their subjective experiences of a meditation and mindfulness practice or training. And we're also seeing that through the brain. So we're seeing areas in the brain light up that are actually more focused on attention and on decision making, on executive functioning, right? So we're seeing that these areas in the brain, really the overarching term is neuroplasticity. So we're seeing better neuroplasticity in the brain due to meditation and mindfulness practices.
For those listening who don't know what neuroplasticity means, explain that a little bit more, how that change the ability for your mind to be changeable and plastic.
Oh, wonderful. I love this question. So neuroplasticity, very simply put, is the brain's ability, exactly actually what you just said, Siko, is to change and to start new behaviors, new patterns, new ways of making decisions, and new ways of decision making, really. So cultivating new neural network pathways in the brain in order to have different behaviors and different experiences in your life.
And I imagine that can be really helpful for folks who have really destructive habit pattern or mind patterns in their minds, like depression and things like that. It allows you then to change those pathways.
Very much so, exactly. And that is really what we're seeing. The beauty about meditation and mindfulness research is that we are able to go in and see the change in the brain and in the body. Past research in meditation and mindfulness has really been focused on the brain. And so, those who are in the diagnosis of depression or in the diagnosis of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, or any sort of neurologically and psychologically based depression oriented diagnosis, we are able to see a shift in the brain and through cognitive functioning. Also, even in the last 5 or 10 years, we're seeing in research a big change in the body, and this has been really exciting. And so more recent research focused on the body and biology. What that looks like is inflammation, gene expression, heart rate, blood pressure, cortisol, the effects of meditation and mindfulness on sleep, even your eating habits, and of course your cell health and cell aging, which is really getting down to the minutia of the mitochondria in the cells of our bodies. So that's been really an exciting turn in meditation and mindfulness research that's happened even in the last 5 years.
Wow. And what particular aspect of that excites you the most right now? Maybe you can explain a little, take one piece and talk a little bit more about that.
Oh, great question. Great question. So one thing I'll say, I have a very favorite study that came out actually even just recently, and it was conducted by the Center for Investigating Healthy Minds in Madison, Wisconsin. And what Richie Davidson and colleagues took a look at was, did anything change from an inflammatory marker standpoint from just one day of meditation? So 8 hours of meditation and mindfulness training. And what they found was that, yes,
Wow.
you actually had a decreased expression of pro-inflammatory genes just in one day, 8
Amazing.
hours of meditation and mindfulness. So that is one of my absolutely favorite findings currently. And then also, myself and colleagues here at the Aging, Metabolism, and Emotion Center at UCSF, we actually just published and are preliminarily presenting a finding that our group found in a study of ours, was that a highly stressed population of maternal caregivers, so mothers of autistic children who went through a 12-week mindfulness training, we actually found that they increased their total sleep time each night. So they increased their average sleep time of about 34 minutes by the end of our 12-week mindfulness-based intervention. And as we all know, sleep is like one of the top pillars of health and
resilience.
well-being.
Yeah.
And resilience, yes.
Yeah.
If you are having a great night of sleep, then your days are just substantially better, And so seeing that mindfulness and meditation actually do affect our biological circadian rhythms and our health behaviors like sleep, it's really big, pivotal, and exciting findings for us currently.
And the sleep wasn't just more sleep, but also better quality sleep, or were they able to measure that too?
We are able to measure quality of sleep. So sleep disruption is primarily how we measure quality of sleep. And overall, there was a better effect on quality of sleep, but it was really the total amount of sleep time. And what we found was that this group actually started to go to bed earlier. Which, think about during your weeks and during your days. How often do we all tell ourselves, I'm going to go to sleep earlier tonight
Right.
so I can get my 8 hours? And then think about how often does that really actually happen? Okay, not as much as we all like, right?
Right.
So this group really, really was able to shift their bedtimes to an earlier bedtime in order to have this increase in total sleep time. And so what we're really able to say is that, again, having a meditation and mindfulness practice really, really does, whether it's an unconscious process or a very conscious process, it is able to encourage better health behaviors.
Interesting. Yeah. And is there any tips for someone who does have sleep problems that they could take away from this and increase their quality of sleep?
Oh, very much so. Part of our population we were able to see through a mindfulness mobile app were doing some practices, so body scans, loving kindness meditations, and mindfulness practices like that, ranging anywhere from 3 minutes to 20 minutes before sleep. We weren't able to correlate that those mindfulness mobile app data points exactly to the bedtimes or the increased amount of sleep. But what we can really subjectively, think about is how can we reduce our stress before bedtime?
Mhm.
Is that actually sitting and breathing for 3 minutes? Is that doing a guided meditation for 20 minutes? Or is that, having a moment and consciousness around how am I able to reduce my stress? How am I able to perhaps turn off the executive functioning and the, just that drive that I have for my day? How can I actually settle the body? So I would highly recommend, in my own practice actually, is one of really, really starting to slow down. And I love, love, love breathing meditations in the evening. My own practice is largely a morning-based practice, yet in the evenings, if I'm able to actually consciously say, all right, Amanda, it's time to slow down. All right, Amanda, let's actually do a breathing meditation for 10 minutes. Or, just to even have excitement and switch it up, I'm doing a 20-minute guided meditation. Whatever it takes to actually focus, the body and the biology in our brain to a more restful and de-stressing experience.
Right. And you mentioned morning meditation and the importance of that as well in one of your blog posts. And so maybe that also affects your evenings as well, because the mornings kind of sets the pace for the whole rest of the day.
Exactly. So when I am going to sleep at night, I am already looking forward to my morning practice. Mm. Why is that? It's because since 2009, when I've been meditating every single day in the mornings, it has really changed my life, right? It's changed my life in so many ways. And so now the practice is really like second nature for me in the morning. I get up, I have a sip of tea, a sip of lemon water, and then I am sitting in my practice, right, for anywhere minimally 20 minutes, but even up to 45 minutes to 60 minutes of meditation every single morning. And during the evenings, it's become such a part of my daily routine to actually look forward to that morning experience and to my morning routine. So again, it is another sign that a consistent meditation and mindfulness practice can really affect all areas of life and all health outcomes, even sleep, even eating, and even the opposite time of day that you're actually practicing.
Right. And has there already been research about, whether you start with a couple minutes or an ideal time that it takes your body to kind of slow down and benefit or gain the fruits of that slowing down for 20 or 30 minutes that you mentioned earlier?
So that is the research question that we're all really sitting with right now. And that's actually my own personal research interests as well right now. So ancient text says, is particularly in Vedanta, that they recommend at least 20 to 30 minutes of meditation in the morning. And in primordial sound meditation, they recommend 30 minutes because really it takes the body 15 minutes to biologically and physiologically settle down. Mm-hmm. And then you're actually able to really meditate once your body's in a rhythm of the breath, once your body is actually physiologically settled down, right? So these ancient practices have actually, even without the hard-nosed science, they've actually had it figured out for a long time. TM actually recommends a twice-a-day practice of 20 minutes. So they're even honing in on that 20 to 30-minute time frame. There was one study out that actually was saying that they noticed effects through heart rate at 25 minutes and as well as psychological shifts at 25 minutes. Yet this has just been one preliminary study that was out in 2014. And really, this is where the field is going. My hope for the field is that we're actually able to hone in on types of practice soon, the amount of minutes of practice that it takes to actually see these great shifts in well-being, both psychologically and physically, and really to actually have individual tailoring. I mean, we all know, even from sharing my own story, I have been exposed to a plethora of different meditation and mindfulness techniques. What enabled me to have a daily practice, which is what has changed my life, was the mantra-based meditation. The same story applies to all of us. We all have our own stories of how we came to meditation and how we are practicing, right? And it really takes, perhaps it's the teacher, perhaps it's the technique. So there's that individual tailoring that I'm really hoping we as scientists can really start to hone in on and take a look at.
Yeah, and not to neglect those mini meditations too, because there is a benefit to, like if someone wants to just take, before a speech or before something else, walking between buildings, that there is some benefit too to just having a 1 or 2 minute meditation as well, right?
Oh, well, that is mindfulness. Yes,
Yeah.
completely. I like to differentiate meditation a bit from mindfulness. And what I mean by that is meditation or formal mindfulness practice is the actual sitting practice that we do. We sit for 20 minutes, we sit for 15 minutes, we sit for 30 minutes, and we are in our formal practice. Those moments of mindfulness, the walking between buildings for 2 minutes, the focusing on the breath, being able to really connect to our breaths in moments of stress or adversity during our days, those are moments of mindfulness. And to me, those are also outcomes of our formal sitting practice as well.
Right.
Meaning that you can actually cultivate a stronger connection to these mindful moments. During our practices, during our daily meditation practices, we're really honing in on what I like to call our home energy. That's our heart rates, that's the feeling of our hearts, that's compassion in our practices, that's, that relationship to our minds and our thoughts. I mean, essentially, we're going home to the self when we sit and meditate. So you're getting to know yourself so much better, in contemplative reflection. And that shows up in these moments of stress during the day, and actually having the ability to say, you know what, I think I'm going to breathe for 2 minutes here instead of let myself go into a stress reaction or go to crazy town here.
Right. Yeah. And so it benefits each other and mutually reinforces each other, I think is kind of what you're saying then.
Right. Exactly.
And you also did a study about vacation versus retreat. Maybe that ties into this a little bit too, because a retreat is kind of, in a way, really going home and settling even deeper than you could with a 25 minutes sitting meditation.
Mm-hmm. I love this study. I'm so happy you just brought it up, because that study really showed us a number of things which can be directly applied to our own daily meditation practices and our intentions for meditating. And one, like you just said, the 2 out of 3 of the study groups were new meditators or novice meditators. They had 0 meditation practice coming into this study. So we randomized half the group into a vacation group, and we randomized the other half into a meditation retreat intervention, really, or a meditation retreat at the Chopra Center of Wellbeing for 1 week. And what we found was that the novice meditators who actually went through the 1 week meditation retreat 10 months later showed greater psychological well-being and decreases in negative affects. So meaning that they decrease in their overall negative experiences during that day 10 months later. And so that was one really amazing finding, was that instead of just going on vacation, which of course your stress is going to reduce, of course you're going to have a pleasant experience during a vacation. But if you decide to actually go in and learn the life-affirming tools of a meditation and mindfulness practice, then you actually see more long-term effects in your life. The vacation effect is what it's called. I mean, there's a whole body of research showing that the vacation effect, it wears off. Right. It's just like buying a new car. Within 2 months, you're actually that joy of the new car has worn off. So that's really one powerful finding from that study. The second most powerful finding from that study was that we had a third study group. Those were experienced meditators, those who had had a daily practice for 6 months or more before coming into the meditation retreat. And this group was fantastic. They came in better on all accounts, psychologically and biologically, and they left better on all accounts as well. So really the big takeaway from that finding is that the power is in the practice. What we see in meditation and what we're seeing is that these long-term meditators and or these experienced meditators, if you have a daily practice, then you are able to really see and feel the outcomes and all of the health benefits of having a daily practice.
And it's transformative as opposed to simply a recharge, like a vacation.
Exactly. And that's what was so pivotal really about this study as well. So that I'm so glad you brought that up. That is absolutely one of my favorite studies to reference.
Oh, great. It's been such a great pleasure to listen to you and explain about all these studies. Do you have some ways for people to find you?
Oh, thank you so much, Seiko. It's been such an amazing experience to talk with you and to really just, find others and the communities who have passion around a daily practice as well. So I really, really love your podcast. I love your work. You're doing, the great work in the world as well. So people can find me a number of different ways. My personal email is amanda@dailyhealth.com. And then I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook. And also we will be putting up at UCSF here a new meditation and mindfulness research page that is up and coming. So you'll be able to find me on that page as well at the Center of Aging, Metabolism, and Emotions at UCSF. So that's a number of ways for people to connect with me.
And people can also learn from you, right? You have a way to teach them too.
Yes, exactly. I have a few meditation students right now, and I actually have a wonderful 8 to 12 week session course that I have people go through, and it's just a beautiful experience. A lot of that individual tailoring, like I was mentioning earlier, and it's really just, it's such an honor to really see people cultivate and start a practice. And my intention and my purpose in life is to get as many people at meditating as humanly possible, right? Because I do believe that will lead to a collective and global shift. And so our individual experiences really, really allow ourselves to, show up as a better version of ourselves. And that's my intention of having and supporting others and cultivating a daily practice. When we heal ourselves, we're really able to heal others. We're able to show up in a way that really serves others and serves the world. So that's exactly what I'm up to.
That's great. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Seiko. It's been such a wonderful conversation.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode with Amanda Gilbert, talking all about the scientific research that's being done to show that meditation and mindfulness is not just some strange hippie-like practice, but it's really, truly beneficial to our well-being on so many levels, too. You can find the show notes for this episode at meditationfreedom.com/027. And you can support the podcast by going to meditationfreedom.com and clicking on the Support the Podcast button at the top. That would be fantastic. Well, that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and please let me know again. And if possible, please support the podcast as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day or rest of the evening. Stay in touch and take care.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Meditation Freedom Podcast, where meditation meets daily life.